Welcome again to Exiles TV. Bill Profita over there. I'm Kevin Gallagher over here. We're going to get right down to
Welcome
business.
to our celebration of plaid.
Thank you. I didn't even notice it.
Just in time for Christmas.
I didn't notice till you brought it up. Listen, we got two important topics to talk about, so let's get right down to it and introduce our first guest. On Bill's side is Charles Landreneau. He is the president of OTOW to Our Warriors. That's ODE, OTOW to Our Warriors. And Charles is running a home for veterans of military service. And Butch Nahrwold is a resident of the home it's in Baker, right?
Correct.
It's in Baker. Let's start with you, Charles, and just get right. Tell us the story of OTOW to Our Warriors and then the home and how that came to be.
Great, thank you very much. Yes, OTOW to Our Warriors was formed about 3 years ago. We had a good friend of ours came to our Bible study and told us the plight of the homeless veterans in the Baton Rouge area. My wife and I have about 12 years experience working with at-risk youth. So that night we kind of prayed about it and we said, well, if we're doing this for at-risk youth, can't we do something similar for our veterans? And literally the next day, we said yes, and we found a townhome, and we rented a townhome, and by the weekend, we had 5 homeless veterans in a townhome. At the time, we had not even had a 501(c) set up or anything of that nature, but went through that process, and we are a 501(c) organization today. And today we're housing, we have a capacity for 11 homeless veterans in Baker, Louisiana.
If you don't mind, just so people are really clear, this is not a place to come, just in the evening. This is their home.
Correct. We actually house the veterans there. We supply all of the their needs from a household perspective. We supply all their food, their clothing, anything they need, any essentials that they need at the home. While they're there, when we interview them in, we ask them what their goals are, and we actually set individual goals for each individual that comes into the house. We meet them where they are. There's no pre-described plan, if you will. We talk to each individual guy, and we ask them, what do you want out of this program, and how can we help you get where you are? Because our goal is to not only provide housing, but we actually transition these men back into civilian life. So our goal is for them to stay as long as they need to, but to transition back into civilian life.
Butch, if I can go to you, talk about how you became a resident and what it means to you to have this place to live.
Well, it was amazing. I guess when I first came, I was fixing to go back under a bridge. I worked in high threat protection, diplomatic security in Iraq, and it caused me some bad issues, and I tried to self-medicate. And a friend of mine heard that I was fixing to live under a bridge, told Mr. Charles about it, and they came and got me a 2-day trip, came and picked me up in Orlando, stayed overnight, came in, got me there, got me clothes, got me into the VA when nobody would see me, nobody would help me. I mean, it's an amazing story. I mean, I could sit here for hours and tell you all the accolades that I have for these folks. I love them like family. To me, it's faith-based. It's all about, God being in their lives and helping us and just respecting us and not wanting anything.
I think one of the things, particularly at the holidays, that we don't ever bring into the front of our minds is we have a serious problem with homeless veterans. We think about Toys for Tots and we think about St. Vincent de Paul, and all these are very worthy, but I don't think we realize how many homeless veterans, how many hungry veterans, how many veterans that need medical help are out there. As you said, you're getting ready to go back under the bridge. How many of those folks were veterans?
6 of us in that one place.
In that one place.
Yeah, there's the plight of the veterans today in Baton Rouge area. We estimate there's about 250 guys out on the street today, and of course, we want to be able to help as many of those as we can. Some of those don't want help, and those we really can't do a whole lot about, but there's a lot of guys that just need a hand up, not a hand out. They're a very proud group of men and women, and what we want to do is provide them that hand up. We do a lot of things like clear their old baggage that's preventing them from going forward, like an old speeding ticket that prevents them from getting their driver's license. Well, I pay for that speeding ticket and I clear that license but we set up a very small promissory note because we asked them once they get working to pay that note back, because again, it's a hand up, not a handout. And most of the guys don't want a handout. They want to be able to earn their way into the program. So once we get all that cleared up and we get them a valid ID and a valid driver's license, then the next step we do is get them a legitimate job that they can actually earn a decent wage.
We have a break coming up.
Yep.
You are reliant on your own finances to make this happen, as well as people who are interested in helping our veterans. And one of the reasons you all are here is because we're going to ask with you for people to help right now so that you can continue this program. So let's talk about what it costs to help homeless veterans in Baton Rouge,
yes,
and what the future may be if everybody kind of gets on board and gives a little bit to kind of help you. We'll be back in a moment. This is Exiles TV. Stick around.
No one can stop me when I taste the feeling. Nothing could ever bring me down. Nothing could ever bring me down. Taste the feeling.
Hi, I'm Bobby Yarborough with Manda Fine Meats. Here at Manda, we know what the folks of South Louisiana love. They love great flavored smoked sausage, delicious deli meats, and specialty items like boudin and andouille sausage. Manda Fine Meats has been providing these products since 1947. We produce them right here in Baton Rouge, so you know you're always getting the freshest product at your local grocery store. Manda Fine Meats. Taste the fresh local flavor in everything we make. Make it Manda every time.
Welcome back to Exiles TV. We are talking about the plight of the homeless veteran in our area, and got someone here that's doing something about it. It's called Ode to Our Veterans. For those Warriors, excuse me. For those of you who went to school in Baton Rouge, ODE doesn't mean a bill, it means a poem or a song. Just trying to help out here. But it takes a lot of money to be able to house and clothe and job train and feed the people who have served us under fire. And we're going to ask you to kind of help them. Charles, tell everybody what it costs to do this.
It costs us about $55,000 a year just to keep the two homes open, and pay the utilities and the maintenance on the property. But right now, the property that we're on, we're leasing. And today we're here to try to raise money to actually purchase that property. The owners received an offer on the property, but gave us the right of first refusal. So we're trying to raise $500,000 to purchase that property and to continue the work that we're doing with our veterans.
So to speak plainly, well, anyone who wants to help out, any amount is certainly welcome. $20, $50, whatever your heart tells you, whatever you can afford. We're also, frankly, we're looking for an angel or two to step up.
Yes.
Somebody that can make a major investment in this 501c3.
So if you cannot raise the $500,000, and I'm guessing he's giving you 3 months, 6 months? or
Correct, 3
short-
months, till the end of the year.
Oh, grand. Wonderful.
Yeah.
There is a plan B, which means you'd have to find 2 more properties to lease
Correct.
or to purchase at a little more affordable rate. And I'm guessing you're not sitting on, $400,000 or $500,000 in your back pocket right now.
I wish I was, but no, I'm not. But people that know me know that I always will have a plan B. If this doesn't come about, I will not put them in back on the street. We're working on a place that will house them in, and I will find another piece of property if this doesn't work at this particular property. The thing that makes this unique, though, is this property is ideal for men that suffer with PTSD, which is a huge issue with our veterans, and they need the space. Like I said earlier, we started in a townhouse, and it was way too confined for a bunch of men that are suffering with PTSD. So regardless of where we go, we will find a place that has a lot of space where these men can spread out, walk, relax, let the anxiety drop for them to be able to function.
I don't want to put something additional on your plate, but we have a very good friend of our program who is a veteran, Alexandra Wan, and she works for the VA
Yes, I
in
know
the,
her.
the state. And we are having an increasing problem with homeless female veterans as well. As you look down the road, if people are generous, as we hope they will be, and you can grow and expand this, is that something that you'd like to take on as well?
Oh, absolutely. The issue today is, getting our feet on the ground with the men. Our goal is to build about 35 duplexes on this property. At which time, when we have individual duplexes, we'd be able to entertain bringing in women because they'd have separate living quarters. Today, in a single home with multiple people in the home, there's no way I could mix this population with men and women in the same home. So our long-term goal would, in fact, be able to bring in women.
So Charles, tell me once again, the goal is to buy the entire duplex complex.
That's correct.
All right, so it's like townhomes.
No, it's just 2 actual homes
Okay.
on the property.
All right, so what we need to do is between now and the end of the year, you need to raise nearly a $500,000.
Right, and what that $500,000 would do is actually secure the actual property itself, at which time we would then, of course, continue the 2 homes that we have, but it would give us the room to start building our duplexes and bring up to 60 men on that property. But today we have 2 homes that we have a capacity of 11 men on the property.
Understood.
All right. The clock, as you pointed out during the first segment, is speeding by. So let's tell everybody all the ways that they can give and how to get there, shall we?
Yes, absolutely. The easiest way to give is to go to our website at otowbr.com, and there's a donate button right on the website. You can also text OTOW to 44321, and you'll get a text back, which then will open up a screen and allow you to make your donation straight from your telephone. And like you said, Kevin, no donation is too little. What we ask is if you feel compelled to donate, then pass the word and ask your friends and relatives to donate, because, the whole multiplication of people, we can make this goal happen if we can get enough people to support us.
And I would assume you can take all major credit cards.
Absolutely.
You can take Venmo,
We can take Venmo,
PayPal.
PayPal.
And do you have a what's called an annual giving plan, where somebody, if they say, I want to do 12 by 12, I want to do $12 a month for 12 months, and you just go ahead and take it every month?
Yes, you can do reoccurring giving, which we would love to see more of. We do have a few people that are on a
That's a great way to
reoccurring-
guarantee a mortgage once you get a bunch of those.
And
Yeah.
and of course, our goal is for this to sustain itself well into the future. This is not a once and done thing. We don't think the homeless veteran population is going to decrease. We know that this needs to sustain itself for quite some period of time.
Are you a veteran yourself?
Absolutely, I'm not. But my motto is, since I didn't serve, we're here to serve those that have served us.
I think you're doing a pretty good job of living up to that.
Well, thank you.
Butch, thank you for your service. The phone number's on your screen, 985-351-4749. Someone will answer that phone if you want to do that business that way, or OTOWBR.com, and help out any way you can.
And if y'all wouldn't mind, Can we get you back after we're done with this god-awful 2020? Can we get you back at the first of the year and maybe give our folks a little box score on how you're doing and where we need to go from here?
Absolutely, would love to.
We would love to have you back, and thank you for your service. What branch were you?
U.S. Army,
Hoorah.
proudly.
I want to say just one more quick thing before we go to break about these gentlemen and what they do. Just yesterday on Facebook, someone posted photographs of a beautiful new tent city that's been erected for illegal aliens. And I mean, these are substantial tents with windows and they have little air conditioners. And some of these guys would gladly live in those kinds of facilities as opposed to living under an overpass. We could throw up a tent city for illegal aliens within a matter of weeks, but we do nothing for our warfighters. Well, okay, nothing is strong, but we don't go out of our way to make sure.
We've got to get rid of the invisibility in Baton Rouge of all these veterans that do not get the proper health care and don't have a place to live.
Yep, we cannot forget these men and women who have helped us when we needed their help defending America and its ideals across the world.
They're not invisible. They're real people.
We can't
right
forget
here.
about them now. So please, OTOWBR.com and help out any way you can.
Little break. We'll be back. Thank you.
Thank you all very much.
I mean, come back.
Well, we will.
Live and play on the fairway at Greystone Golf and Country Club, a serene, challenging golf destination located in Denham Springs. For tee times and membership opportunities, go to GreystoneCountryClub.com.
From appetizers, pasta dishes, and entrees, La Contea takes pride in preparing all the Italian cuisine we know you love. Enjoy live music every Thursday through Saturday from 6 to 9, happy hour weekdays from 3 to 6, and brunch on Sundays from 11 to 2, as well as dinner portion-sized lunch specials for under $10. Visit our website to view our menu and book a party or meeting in our large banquet room. Once you try La Contea, your Italian dining will change forever.
No one can stop me when I taste the feeling. Nothing could ever bring me down. Nothing could ever bring me down. Taste the feeling.
Surprise, something good has finally happened in 2020. Yours truly, the Clarence Bugg Show, gets to be with you every day of the week. That's right, 11 to 12 every weekday. And of course, the Exiles right in front of yours truly from 10 to 11, yours truly 11 to 12. So now it's appointment viewing. 5 days a week here on the Pelican. The Clarence Bugg Show. The only thing missing is you.
Hi, I am Dr. Farrell Frugier Jr., and I am a general dentist at Frugier Family Dentistry. I was born and raised in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I went to Catholic High School, LSU, and LSU School of Dentistry in New Orleans, where I received my DDS degree in 1986. I always have and will continue to be committed to continuing my education, to invest in technology which makes the diagnosis and delivery of dentistry more thorough, more comfortable, and more aesthetically pleasing. In our practice, we are here to serve the patients. We want to improve their quality of life and to develop relationships with our patients. In dentistry, we have a chance to impact lives on a daily basis, not just by doing dentistry, but by getting to know them and being a part of their life. We also believe in giving back to our community. So every year, we give back to the Greater Baton Rouge Food Bank, Toys for Tots, and Mary Bird Perkins Cancer Center. Please stop by and visit our office. We would love to take care of you and your family.
Right now, during the Team Honda Upgrade event, get a new 20 Accord Sport for just $309 a month with no money down, no first payment, and no security deposit. It's time to upgrade to your new Honda at Louisiana's #1 new car dealer, Team Honda on Segan Lane.
Welcome back to Exiles TV. I want to say once again a thank you to the Ode to Our Warriors project, OTOWBR.com. Please help them in their mission to provide good housing for Vietnam vets and Gulf War vets and other vets who would erstwhile not have a home. And just want to remind you again, that's OTOWBR.com.
And if you don't mind, I wasn't kidding before the break when I said we treat homeless veterans in this city and a lot of cities like they're invisible. We think, oh, the VA is going to take care of them. And this is a problem that's not getting smaller. This is a problem that's getting larger. We have people that we are discharging from the military that have been serving in combat conditions now for 19 years. And then you've got the people from the Gulf War. That was 4 years ahead of that. And Vietnam. You've still got people that were on the ground in Vietnam and did their duty that are in their 60s. You've still got some of them in their late 50s. And sometimes it goes off the rails later in life. So please, in your prayers, in your Christmas wishes, let's think about these men and women, and let's not let them be invisible in our community anymore.
Now, conversation about the health and well-being of, Louisiana in general, but East Baton Rouge Parish in particular. Joining us right now is the coroner for East Baton Rouge Parish, Dr. William Bo Clark. Always good to see you. How are you?
Great. Thanks for having me.
We talk a lot about the pandemic. I would argue now the pandemic is no longer a pandemic. It's now endemic, pretty much. I mean, COVID's everywhere. But before we were discussing the pandemic of COVID, we were discussing the epidemic of heroin and other opioid abuses and the numerous deaths, especially in our area, from using these dangerous drugs.
Yeah, so what's interesting, I think, is that the whole world seemed to have shifted in 2020 as a result of the COVID phenomena, that we really stopped talking about the opiate epidemic. But unfortunately, it has not gone anywhere. As a matter of fact, since 2012, we've seen a gradual increase from year to year with the number of overdoses. In 2019, we had 128 overdoses that year, which was a record high for the parish. And this year to date, we've had 220 overdoses in the parish. So we are nearly double the number from last year.
Holy smoke.
Yeah.
That's shocking. That's frightening.
It's frightening. It's frightening.
Is there any reason to believe that any of those overdose deaths were intentional? And I mean suicide by opioids.
Well, certainly it becomes difficult if we don't know someone is suffering from depression and they're not showing overt signs, or they leave us a note. Then the assumption is it's accidental. However, otherwise it gets classified as a suicide. But the point is I think really from a media perspective, it really just society in general, we talk so much about COVID that we really have missed an opportunity to remind people that we are in the midst of an epidemic, the opioid epidemic, that is very alive and well and creating issues. Now, COVID indirectly probably attributed to a lot of these opioid problems, and the fact that not only we're not talking about it, but do we have limited access to our support networks, whether that be our friends and family because of quarantine? Could that be because your doctor's office, you're limited going there now, with Zoom or telemedicine? So all those things I think played a role in seeing these astronomical numbers.
Tell me a little bit about the mechanisms and the demographics. What are you seeing in terms of age, gender, circumstances? Is it all over the board? Are there certain groups that have a higher incidence of dying from opioids? Where are we on that?
So the interesting thing is when we talk about the opiate epidemic, the reason it's so deadly is not just because opioids are deadly, it's because it affects everyone. It affects both men and women. It affects both the young and the old. And because of that, you see this tremendous breadth of our population that can die as a result of that. The easiest comparison is to look at COVID. If you look at COVID basically kills older people that have comorbidities. So it's a very defined group of the population that results in death from COVID. So think about that in comparison to opioids. Opioids are affecting everyone.
It was suggested to me not long ago that some people you'd be surprised by the people who are using these opioids in a dangerous way, and they don't consider themselves to be a junkie. They consider themselves to be in a higher strata than that heroin addict who's wrapping a tube around his arm and sticking a needle in. But they're taking the same drug, they're just taking it in pill form.
Sure. It's a prescription from a doctor, which, traditionally throughout anyone's lifetime, if the doctor told you to take this medicine, then of course, that's the doctor's orders.
You didn't ask questions.
You didn't ask questions about it. The problem we face is that when you're addicted, but you no longer have access to those prescription
You won't
opioids,
refill that script.
then you move into the illicit arena, and we've seen the 220 cases we've had this year have been a tremendous number of overdoses as a result of illicit drugs, meaning heroin, and now really what's come on the scene is fentanyl, which is way more powerful than heroin. Doesn't take very much to kill you, and it's here.
Well, and a lot of the fentanyl that we're getting here is bootleg stuff.
Yes.
There is no guarantee that it's of pharmaceutical quality. It's being sold on the street because they can't get the pills because doctors are not prescribing as many pills.
Correct.
For thieves to steal and put back into the street supply.
Right.
And this stuff is like holding a lit stick of dynamite.
Absolutely. So, the illicit stuff is made in a laboratory, it's synthetic, despite, I tell this to people all the time, despite what you might believe, at least if you take an opioid prescription, you know that it's gone through an FDA process where the amount of drug in the pill is what it says it is. Illicit drugs aren't like that. There's no process. You don't know if that's a 10% drug or if it's a 100% drug. Oftentimes it's very powerful or even mixed synergistically. So you get the effect of the heroin and the fentanyl when taken together. And that's where people get themselves into trouble.
Surely there are people out there who think that they're buying from an illicit dealer, and they're like, they say there's no fentanyl in this stuff, is there? Oh, no.
Sure.
No,
Because
not at all.
illicit drug dealers would never lie to you.
Yeah. Oh, no, there's no fentanyl in this. This is only the best stuff. You don't know what you're getting.
You don't. And it's interesting because I do talk to a lot of people with substance abuse problems in the mental health jurisdiction of my job, and a lot of them will tell you, I trust my drug dealer, right? And I remind them, I'm like, listen to what you're saying here. Listen to what you're saying, because what does the drug dealer care about at the end of the day? The money. That's all they care about. They don't care about the individual or their family. They just care about money.
It's not like they hate to lose a customer because there's going to be another one to take their place.
There's plenty out there. Yes.
Let me ask you this: as we we go out over multiple parishes, are your colleagues in Lafayette and the River parishes and in Jefferson Parish and in Orleans Parish seeing these same kind of numbers?
Yes, the trends seem to be almost universal no matter where we go in the state of Louisiana. The differences happen to be the total number, and that's usually very corollary with the size of their population.
Yeah.
So big parishes have lots of numbers, smaller parishes have fewer numbers, but proportionally speaking, it's a tremendous number of the population.
I do not say this out of any criticism for law enforcement agencies, but they can't seem to even knock a dent in this business.
Yeah.
The more they bust, the more comes in.
Well, it's interesting. Even to look at how the genesis of all this has come about with Purdue Pharma, the invention of OxyContin and that whole historical piece to that. I saw the other day where finally Purdue said, yeah, we were wrong, and they're going to pay money, and they're no longer going to make OxyContin, but by the way, they're going to make another drug that's somewhat similar to it.
Yeah.
Right. And so you're like, well, here we go again with another drug, and it begs the question. How many opioids do we actually really need in the world now? There are legitimate reasons why you would need an opioid, but how many do we really need, and how much money needs to be generated for a commercial product?
Well, I always
like
used
that?
to think that those kinds of strong pain management drugs are for when you're under a direct doctor's care.
Sure.
And then when you're, they give you something for dealing with it when you're released from the hospital and you're recovering, something a little more reasonable.
Yeah.
But we've confused having chronic pain with intractable pain. Everybody in the world's got a bad back. And
Sure.
if they want
Because
to,
we all got crappy posture.
if they want to, they will find somebody who will prescribe Percodan, Percocet, Oxy, Lortab in 120 pill bottles, or at least they used to be
Sure,
able to.
used to be able to, yeah.
And the supply chain on this is all over the place. The supply chain is kids that go to visit grandma, and she's got a prescription, and she's got a whole bottle of 120, and the kid goes to her bathroom, puts 8 or 9 in his pocket, and forwards them to the dealer who aggregates it, and then he's selling, 10 pill bags for $100.
Right. Yeah.
And you got pill presses now. Every time they bust somebody, how do you get a pill press legally without law enforcement looking at you?
Amazon.
It's called the internet.
Amazon?
Amazon. You can buy one on Amazon. Absolutely.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
See, that should be something. Generally speaking, I would think that it would be difficult. It should be difficult to buy those kinds
Right.
of home.
Well, I mean, what you start asking yourself the question, what's the purpose of a pill press?
Yeah.
I mean, why does, I mean, I don't own a pill press. I don't
Pill
think you
press,
guys do.
beakers,
I don't-
scales, that sort of thing.
Not really need those things.
Shouldn't somebody be monitoring those purchases?
You would think. You
Yeah.
would think. Yeah.
One would think. I saw yesterday, and I didn't realize that this product was out there, but I think I see where this is going. I think the patent medicine people, the over-the-counter people, are reacting to this, and perhaps the physicians asking them, now the brand name Advil has an ibuprofen that is formulated with acetaminophen.
Yeah. A combo drug. Sure.
So that perhaps a prescriber will say, try this first before we go to the opioid.
Sure, absolutely. I think, I mean, I've always said, from a physician standpoint and a practicing physician, I mean, the way you have a conversation is a very individual conversation with a person about their pain and how you're going to manage their pain. And it's a discussion, and you start low and you move from there. And certainly there's some people that you need to jump right on. I mean, if you have a broken leg bone, I mean, you might jump straight to the opioid. I mean, clearly, especially in the acute phase right after the injury. But the expectation needs to be laid that you're not going to be on opioids forever. I mean, we're going to do things to fix you. We're going to help you get out of pain. But eventually you're going to move to something non-narcotic and then something not at all.
We're going to take a brief break. We are going to continue with Dr. Bo Clark, who is the parish coroner in East Baton Rouge Parish, talking about the opioid crisis, and we might talk about homicide a little bit in a minute. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Surprise, something good has finally happened in 2020. Yours truly, the Clarence Bugg Show, gets to be with you every day of the week. That's right, 11 to 12 every weekday. And of course, the Exiles right in front of yours truly from 10 to 11, yours truly 11 to 12. So now it's appointment viewing. 5 days a week here on the Pelican. The Clarence Bugg Show. The only thing missing is you.
Bolello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent.
Depend on us for service, for selection, for price.
Get huge Whirlpool savings. Shop now and save on Whirlpool appliances throughout the store. Plus, experience our price match guarantee and ask about special financing.
You can depend on the know-how of people who live appliances every day.
Bolello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent with nationwide buying power.
Hello guys, it's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
Hi, I'm Hurricane Betsy Barnes.
And I'm Dr. Kay Siller with the Rocket Right Show.
We are two busy blondes on the go showing off life in Louisiana.
Watch us on Pelican Sports Network.
And Talk 107.3 FM. Check local listings for times.
I owed the IRS $10,000.
The IRS garnished my wages.
They put a lien on my house.
I'm self-employed and didn't report all my income. They claim I owe a lot more than I do.
The IRS is the most powerful collection agency in the world. They do not give up until you pay.
I couldn't sleep. We were being audited. I called Tax Solutions Now, and a great big weight was lifted off my shoulders.
I called Tax Solutions Now, and they got the IRS off my back.
Tax Solutions Now had my wage garnishment lifted in 48 hours.
Tax Solutions Now can get you help. Our agents know the rules, can stop the pain, and get you the best deal.
Tax Solutions Now saved my business.
I qualified for the Fresh Start program. I paid less than I owed.
We connect you with a team of former IRS agents and tax professionals who get the IRS off your back. Time is running out. Call Tax Solutions now.
Call 800-778-4345. 800-778-4345.
Welcome back. We are talking with Dr. Bo Clark. He is the parish coroner here for East Baton Rouge Parish, but he is an expert on the opioid crisis and the number of deaths we are getting.
And a certified ER physician.
Yeah, and he is a board-certified ER doc, which means if Kevin falls out in the next 20 minutes, you're going to be okay. Hang on, don't do it yet. Don't do it yet. Don't wait for it.
The eyes roll back in the head.
You know, nothing exists in a vacuum.
Correct.
Particularly when you talk about some of the bad things that happen in life. We have a homicide rate that is absolutely soaring.
Yes.
You've been getting a lot of calls in the middle of the night. We have people dying from ODs. And we seem to be powerless from a law enforcement standpoint to really slow any of this down. Now, in addition to medical responsibilities, you have legal responsibilities.
Sure.
What are your opinions on the trajectory of both homicide rates, opioid overdose rates, and the effects of COVID on all of them? I mean, I know it's a complicated matter, but...
It is, but you can see the corollary in the sense that this year, 2020, worst year on record for overdoses in the parish, ever. 220 cases with still some time to go, and some cases pending toxicology currently. 100 as of last night, 134 homicides in the parish, the most ever in the history of the parish. Worst year for homicides. So there has always been a corollary between narcotics and homicides in this parish. We do have on occasion the domestic homicide, the other types of shooting, but typically there's a relationship between homicides and narcotics. As a matter of fact, if you go to my website on our news tab, we've taken homicides back to, I think, 1999. We've looked at overdoses since I've been coroner in 2012. And you can see the projection and the corollary between how the two numbers kind of rise together, meaning when there's more narcotics and less narcotics enforcement, the homicide rate goes up. And if there's pressure on the narcotics dealers to keep that suppressed, not only does it suppress the overdose number, but it also suppresses the homicide number. And so now this year, what did we do? We threw a pandemic, the COVID pandemic, on top of this, and that created all kinds of issues. Not that the virus causes homicides, but that the virus developed scenarios where we limited contact. We either limited contact
or were cooped up together.
And all those things now have cumulatively,
especially important in domestic violence homicide.
Absolutely. So all of this works together. We're humans, right? So it's how we interact, and it all plays a role in what happens.
By means of nomenclature, this may be a better question for the district attorney or the police chief, but you mentioned homicides. Were the greater number of those homicides actually murders? Because I know there's a difference in...
Sure. So the word murder is a legal term, and so that's why you'll never hear me say, well, this is the murder rate, or we had a murder last night. It's not a murder until it's gone through a legal process.
You deal with the cause of death.
Yes, and specifically the manner of death. The manner of death homicide is when one person intentionally kills another person. So that's considered a homicide. And that doesn't have to be with a gun. It can be a gun, knife. That's what normally people think about. But it can be, other things too. I mean, you can roll over somebody with a car and intentionally kill them. So
radio in the bathtub.
We call those, from a medical legal standpoint, those are referred to as homicides in the world I work in.
Do you think that we truly understand what happens, for example, when somebody who has a problem with drugs, particularly hard drugs like opioids, heroin, things like that, and they can't get them because we are stifling the supply legally through law enforcement? What happens with that person?
So that person, of course, you have to have on the back end of that equation the setup for support to manage their mental illness or their addiction disorder. And so the good news is this morning, before I came over to do this show, the British Center for Hope had its grand ribbon cutting ceremony.
Thank God.
And so now I'm told within the next week or two, they'll be taking patients. And those are patients with mental illness issues, patients with substance abuse issues, something we've needed in this community since the close of OK Long in 2014.
Yeah, that was a long time coming.
And unfortunately, things move at the speed, what I call the speed of government. But here we are, and hopefully that's going to make an impact on a lot of people's lives.
The Hiller Moore calls them the trigger pullers.
Mm-hmm.
Are they getting more numerous? Are they getting more violent? Are they getting to be better shots? Or is it all of the above? Because I think in the last 14 days, we've only had one day where there hasn't been a gunfire homicide in this parish.
Yeah, so I'm not sure. Probably all of the above would be the answer to that question. Although I do know what is interesting, and I talked to my forensic pathologist who've been doing this line of work for quite some time. They talk about the exorbitant number of times people are shot in this parish.
That's what I'm seeing.
Which is really interesting because, there was a time when someone would get shot once, maybe twice. Now we're seeing people with, multiple gunshot wounds. And, of course, our trauma center here in town does the best they can to save those people. Sometimes they do, and sometimes they don't. But that's an overwhelming amount of trauma.
Sometimes they have multiple wounds from multiple occasions.
Correct, yes.
Well, and it's heavy
more willing
caliber.
to shoot each other. Just shoot.
Yeah.
And it's heavy caliber. It's not a Saturday night special, a little 32 hitting you.
No. It's we're seeing white rifle wounds. I mean, a lot of stuff you see, they see in war. Really, that's what you're talking about.
Wow, a lot of trauma.
Yes.
See, that's when I think about these semi-automatics, they fire a tumbling bullet, don't they? In most cases.
Well, the AR does. It tumbles, but they're so close it hasn't had a chance to tumble yet. It's just the velocity of it. It smashes everything in front of it and blows it out the back.
Do you have any feeling on the coming available of vaccine? Do you think that will help? The other problems that certainly it will help with COVID cases, but do you think that getting a fair amount of us vaccinated will help with getting society back to something like it used to be?
So in order to move beyond the pandemic, one of two things has to happen. Either you have to develop active or passive immunity, one way or the other.
Right.
Active immunity is getting the virus, surviving the virus, and developing antibodies. Okay,
right.
That's one category, which we have people in that category as we speak now. The other category is to get the vaccine, develop passive immunity, the same scenario. Once you do that, then there's no real reason to continue all these mitigating factors like social distancing and wearing masks, unless you don't fit into either one of those categories, right? Then you still need to protect yourself if that's the case. So I'm getting my vaccine this week, and we're doing the Pfizer one, which is you get a vaccine 21 days later, you get the second booster.
21 days.
And then 4 to 7 days after that, you're supposed to have immunity, right? Which means that for people that fit that criteria, then the social distancing and the mask wearing and all that stuff should be gone. There's no reason to do that anymore. It doesn't mean I can't never get COVID, but it does put me at an increased risk for protection.
Mm-hmm.
The vaccine is 95%. Believe it or not, getting the virus and surviving it is 99%. Mm-hmm. So that's actually the better scenario. Mm-hmm. But you take the risk of getting the virus in that scenario.
Let me ask your opinion as a scientist. There's a debate over the antibody protection.
Correct.
Do we really know yet, or will it be a long time before we know how long, if you have survived COVID and have the antibodies, that you have that protection in your system?
Right. So the answer is no, we don't really know, or we know just a little bit. And what always drives me nuts is, you hear people on television talk with the scientific experts. Understand this, we've known about COVID about a year, okay? That means every scientist, every physician in the world has only studied COVID for a year, okay? And we're talking about human COVID, because COVID was in animals, so I'm sure there's some vets out there that are really experts. But there's no such thing as a scientific expert. Everybody that's been looking at this has been looking at it for the same amount of time. Mm-hmm. And so therefore, a lot of it is studied very, very compressed types of studies. So yes, we think the antibodies will stay around. Will we find out 10 years from now that they stay around longer or shorter? Only time will tell with that.
Well, it's kind of like the old mumps and measles. Mm-hmm. When I was a kid, if you got them, you were considered immune.
Right.
But they'd been studying those diseases longitudinally for 30, 40 years.
Correct. Yeah,
they have some pretty good data.
Well, it was just a year ago on LSU campus, they had an outbreak of mumps. And somebody said, well, how does a college kid who's immunized against mumps get the mumps? They had 21 cases, I believe. And it was because their titers had dropped below the threshold for protection, and they needed to be re-immunized. And that's just something that is going to happen with time.
Yeah, well, the average American doesn't think they need boosters. They were like, I was immunized when I was a kid. It's
Right.
like, how many diseases should we seek boosters for?
Well, we have to look at the data and see the ones, and of course you also have to look at what does the disease do to you if you catch it.
Yeah.
If it's a mild disease, then maybe it's not necessary. But if it's something like the flu that can kill you.
This summer I was in bare feet and I stepped on something in the backyard and I immediately thought I haven't had a tetanus booster in 25 years.
Yeah, time to get one.
Exactly. Exactly.
Interesting. Well, I'm just hoping. There's no telling what the governor is going to want to see as a threshold of percentage of population vaccinated before he says, okay, let's get back to normal.
To me, and that's his prerogative, I suppose. But if you just take basic logic, basic science that says, get the shot, finish the immunization. By 4 to 7 days post-immunization, this is from the folks at Pfizer and the infectious disease folks, 4 to 7 days post-immunization, you have antibodies. At that point, that person should be absolved and safe to move about from restriction. And if you can't catch it, you can't give it to somebody, so they live in a safe environment. And then as we get more and more people through that series of events, then we should be good to go.
Before we let you go, because we're up against the break here, the human nature of immunization and booster, what is the normal percentage of people in our population that get that first one and then forget to or don't go back to get that second one in other vaccines?
21 days, I'd be like counting the days.
Yeah. Well, so if you understand that the rule is that if you go through this process, this is what I believe, you go through this process and then you're absolved of the restrictions, then I'll put it on the calendar.
But a lot of people don't.
Yeah.
A lot of people. What's the one that you need a second shot for? Is it the Hep? Is it the Hep?
Hep B is 3 shots. So,
I had the first 2. I'm good. I'm not going to go get the third one. Dr. Bo Clark, Parish Coroner, always a pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you.
We wish you and your family a very Merry Christmas.
Appreciate it. Y'all too. Merry Christmas.
We wish you professionally a very peaceful Christmas.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I really hope that does come true for you.
Thank you.
We'll be back to wrap things up in just a couple of minutes on Exiles TV. Stay with us.
Please.
Caught spiders. Premier Pest Services.
No one can stop me when I taste the feeling. Nothing could ever bring me down. Nothing could ever bring me down. Taste the feeling.
Hi, I am Dr. Farrell Fruget Jr., and I am a general dentist at Fruget Family Dentistry. I was born and raised in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I went to Catholic High School, LSU, and LSU School of Dentistry in New Orleans, where I received my DDS degree in 1986. I always have and will continue to be committed to continuing my education, to invest in technology which makes the diagnosis and delivery of dentistry more thorough, more comfortable, and more aesthetically pleasing. In our practice, we are here to serve the patients. We want to improve their quality of life and to develop relationships with our patients. In dentistry, we have a chance to impact lives on a daily basis, not just by doing dentistry, but by getting to know them and being a part of their life. We also believe in giving back to our community. So every year, we give back to the Greater Baton Rouge Food Bank, Toys for Tots, and Mary Bird Perkins Cancer Center. Please stop by and visit our office. We would love to take care of you and your family.
Live and play on the fairway at Greystone Golf and Country Club, a serene, challenging golf destination located in Denham Springs. For tee times and membership opportunities, go to GreystoneCountryClub.com.
Louisiana's #1 Honda dealer welcomes you to our biggest clearance sale of the year, the Happy Honda Day sales event. Get year-end clearance pricing on over 900 new Hondas, plus a complimentary lifetime powertrain warranty with every new Honda. Save thousands on your new Honda right here at Team Honda.
Hi, business owners. Phase 3. Woohoo! But do your customers know you're back? Well, that's where the Clarence Bugg Show and Pelican Broadcasting can help. Right now, we've got great rates on advertising packages to help you get the word out. Shoot me an email at bugsclarence@gmail.com. Or better yet, call me up. I'd love to talk with you. 225-485-6839. Let's get together and make Phase 3 the best it can possibly be.
Got termites? Get Premier Pest. PremierPestServices.com.
Hello, welcome back. We've enjoyed this hour, making you aware of some problems in the community that you can help with, like the plight of homeless veterans. If you can please see it in your heart to give any money to the Ode to Our Warriors program. They're trying to keep their home for homeless veterans open in the Baker area, and they're going to need a lot of help. I mean, a lot of help. So help them out any way you can. That's OTOWBR.com. Oh, thanks. Thanks for putting that up on the screen. You can also call that telephone number as well. And then always enlightening our conversations with Parish Corner. Scary sometimes, but enlightening.
He did mention something in the break. This is something you and I supported with all of our hearts and souls back at Talk 107.3. The Bridge Center had their ribbon cutting, their opening today. They will be able to start. They will be able to start seeing patients by the beginning of next week, from what we hear.
Bill and I have never been hosts to say vote this way or vote that way, but when the tax for the Bridge Center was proposed, we both openly endorsed it and encouraged people to vote for it. And you did, residents of East Baton Rouge Parish. But it's taken, goodness, 3 years to get the thing finally up and running.
I think it's taken 2.
Has it been that?
Yeah.
It seems like it's been forever since we voted the funding for it. But now it's finally got its doors open, and that means that in a lot of cases where people needed to be taken to a mental health facility, here in East Baton Rouge Parish, they'd either go to the ER, who really can't help them, or they go to jail, who really can't help them. Now there's that third alternative, which will be, I think, a better thing for us. And hopefully we'll see less mentally ill people on the street.
Yeah, somebody who, I was in his company last week, as a matter of fact, Bill O'Quinn, is a retired businessman here in Baton Rouge who has always been very, very civically involved. But he was one of the big movers on this. His son, at the age of 22, who had had mental health issues his entire life, committed suicide in jail. He got picked up for acting out. And this happens every day in Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Lafayette, any big city. Cops get called to somebody making a disturbance.
Screaming at the building.
They don't have any place to take these people. And they end up sitting in a jail cell until the loved ones can be located and the doctor can be located and they arrange bail and all that type of thing. And sometimes it's a hopeless situation. Now there is a professional, fully staffed facility, and I'm thinking the police officers are thanking God for this, because they are not equipped to handle people who have mental illness issues, and some of them very severe. I'm talking about schizophrenia and things like that.
Multiple personality disorder.
And they know they can take these people to a place that will treat them and help them, instead of taking them to jail.
Do you remember we had the man who climbed out and he was hanging by his arms from a sign over I-12?
I remember that guy, yes.
And they were trying to convince him to let them bring him in because, you can let go, you won't do anything but break your legs.
Yeah.
But that guy clearly needed, mental health care. He didn't need to be taken to jail.
Yeah.
So I think this is a good step in the right direction for us.
Yes, it is. By the way, if you want to find out more about it, brbridge.org, brbridge.org, and tomorrow you can take a tour from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m.
And we, in the meantime, will be trying to get the director of the Bridge Center to join us here on the program to talk about this new facility. Did you hear this story about the cop who decided to take a muscle car for a joyride?
Yeah, I want somebody who really knows to talk about that.
Well, you think Nakamoto doesn't know? Let's give him a call.
No. I want somebody who knows the law, because I believe that the officers who were there did the right thing by turning him in for doing that. But I believe the officers who were there saw a felony being committed in their presence and didn't arrest them, which they're required to do.
Well, the question is, isn't grand theft auto a felony?
Well, it's actually unauthorized use of a movable, which is still a felony.
Okay. The owner did not give Officer Franklin, this is Officer Kendarius Franklin. This happened earlier this year.
Yeah.
They pulled up, they were on a shots fired call, and they realized the shots were not gunshots. They were actually the sounds of the mufflers of a Dodge Charger with a 6.2 liter V8 engine.
Oh, yeah.
I wasn't even aware they still made such things.
That's a big bad.
This car can go 0 to 60 in 4 seconds. It's got that much horsepower. It was apparently sitting there idling and making like a boop, 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 that kind of noise. So Officer Franklin got in it, took it for a spin. Nobody gave him any permission to.
Yeah.
I can imagine it was like that scene in Ferris Bueller where they take the Ferrari to the car park.
Well, you know, the thing is, they gave him a slap on the wrist for having a low battery on his body cam.
Right.
That's a pant load. Plain and simple, that is a pant load.
Yep. Officers, the other officers say he should have been charged with an unauthorized use of a movable, which Bill just mentioned, but he got what people are calling a slap on the wrist. This, while another officer who used foul language while apprehending a suspect got wrote up and severely chastised for his action.
I want somebody who knows the law, because I think that if you are a sworn police officer and a felony is committed in your presence, you have to arrest.
Yeah, I would say that you're, what do they call it, a mandatory reporter.
Yeah.
That's our show for today. We hope you'll join us again tomorrow. And until then, Clarence Bugg's on the way next, by the way. Stay tuned for that.
Be safe, stay well.